Hello everybody, it's Dylan, and this is my 2-year on testosterone video. Unfortunately, it's April 19th, and for those of you who've been following me pretty closely, my 2-year is March 10th, and so I'm a little over a month late. And if I were still a girl, I'd probably be worried about being pregnant. But since I'm not, oh well. I make really awkward jokes when I'm nervous. I thought I'd be less nervous being able to see myself on this webcam, but apparently it's a little awkward and it's off, so it's making me really nervous. Wow, my vocabulary just went. But anyway, so finally got around to making the 2-year video, and for the last hour or so I've been trying to make this outline, and you know what, it's not going to be perfect. I don't understand how I was going to be able to put 2 years, which felt like a lifetime's worth of information, into about 15 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to. I just wanted to touch on some of the important things, and first of which, the physical changes, obviously, that everybody, well, not going to say everybody, a lot of people would desire with transition. For me, since I started on that March 10th, I have gained probably about 20 pounds. It's fluctuated up and down. When I got really sick, I was back down to the weight I started at. And really, my facial features changed dramatically. You'll see in the photos. My voice, an amazing transformation. Really, the physical aspects, those are easy to see from the pictures and from the recordings, and they're really not the most prominent thing for me anymore. I love it. I love the way I look. That's wonderful. As far as that's concerned, I have no problems. My chest maybe every now and then bothers me, but I'm so happy with that it really doesn't get at the root of the real struggle with transition. It's very easy to get used to the physical changes. Even the emotional roller coaster that sometimes happens. It's very easy for people to, and internally, not anybody else outside of you, because that may be a different story. But for me, it was easy. I knew sort of what to expect, and I kind of had an image in my head of what I might look like. I knew I'd probably look exactly like my brother, and I do. I'll try to find a picture from when he was probably in his late teens. And I kind of look identical, except that he's like 6'3", and I'm 5'4"-ish. Physical changes, you'll see that again in the pictures, and it is amazing, and people don't even realize how much happens in such a short period of time and how quickly the changes can manifest. But as far as my facial hair is concerned, this is not really as much as it's grown in the past, and I've shaved off my sideburns, but that just started happening months ago, like 6 months ago even. Really full facial hair, not really in the sides or anything, but sideburns and goatee. And as far as like the body fat changes, that it started very early on, and it had continued to progress probably up until 4 or 5 months ago. So the first 2 years of your transition, really, and it's what I've seen in a lot of videos, there is very focused on physical changes, and even subtle little things like extra hair on your hands that you may not notice. Those things keep happening throughout the first 2 years, and it's not just the first year and then you stay that way. In the beginning of transition, first several months, it was an emotional roller coaster. I would deny it so terribly. I'd say no, not at all. I have no emotional things whatsoever, and I'd be crying and screaming like every other night, and I would have so many problems adjusting to how I was supposed to be acting, to feeling anger and pain in ways that I had never felt it before. It was something added on. feeling fear like I'd never felt it before. Everything seemed much more intense. And I don't know if that's because of the situation I was in, or because of the testosterone, but I'm assuming it's kind of a combination of both. My life since 2010 has been a roller coaster, and I know that's very cliche to say, but in the year 2010 I lived in 5 places in the span of 4 or 5 months. I was worried about not being able to finish my last year of school. I got pneumonia twice, in 2010 early, and then late into 2011, and I was in the hospital in 2011. I was out of school for like 2.5, 3 weeks trying to recover, and my girlfriend broke up with me in 2010, and just bad decisions and relationships, and getting thrown out of another place, and then in 2011 I thought it was going to be better. A lot of things started heading up. I felt like I lost everything in 2010, and was trying to resolve a lot of issues in 2011. And I put all of my hopes into graduation. I graduated college in May of 2011. I put all my energy into that, my hope that everything would get better, and it didn't. I don't have a job. I did for a few months, like 6 months or so at GNC, but I got really behind, and I got really depressed about. I felt like since I started my transition, I really did feel that I lost everything. I knew I had a plan. I knew where I was going to go to school. I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I was going to do all these great things and get out of this rut and put everything behind me. But when I came out, the first time and the second time, all of those things went away, and then my transition led me to question a lot of things more. If I had questioned my gender, who is to say that I shouldn't have questioned other ideas that I had had years past that I just assumed I would be going forward with, like medical school, military, things like that. And then I started questioning, and I decided not to apply to medical school, and I didn't think that was right, and right now I still don't think that's right. But these last few months, the beginning of this year, really trying to start things off, I realized that I was wrong about that transition making me lose everything in my life. I lost a lot of bad things. I lost all of the negativity, all of the assumptions that I had, and I was able to start with a blank slate. And it's writer's block. It's really hard to start out without having anything to go off of, and the only thing I really had to go off of was myself and being happy, and even that was a struggle. I got a comment on the channel a little earlier. I don't know if you guys, yeah, you can see it. It says, "You're the most together person in transition I've ever seen." Sometimes I don't feel that way. Sometimes I feel like I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea where my life is going, and everything is a mess, and I feel like a mess. And in the end of 2011, I was a mess. I ended up in a psych ward for 3 days. I was so totally depressed and felt so worthless because I felt like I didn't have a purpose anymore. I really lost a lot of the drive that I had in the beginning. I didn't know where I wanted to go with my life, and I felt like every time I was that much closer to an answer, I lost it. But now things are different. I've been working with a lot of people, therapists, so forth, different side of things, which we can get into later. But I feel like the old me again. Back when I started transition, I have that same hope, and that everything's come full circle, basically. I feel like all of my options are open, and think that transition helps me in more ways than I can count, and probably more ways than I'll ever know. One of the reasons I even started doing videos like this is to see how it helped me. Because when we do things to better ourselves, we tend to forget where we've come from and just assume that anybody could do it because it was that easy, because we've made it. But it's hard every step of the way. And what I like to say to people is that the phrase "it gets better" does not mean it gets easier. It's going to be hard for the rest of your life in one way or another. Especially for someone like me, where I put my transition out there, not just on the internet, but everybody I know knows, and I don't hide it. I'm proud of it, and I feel like it makes me more of a real person than a lot of people. And I know that sounds kind of like jackass-ish, but you guys know too. You feel like you have that part of yourself that a lot of other guys will never have, and a lot of girls will never have, and it's unique and it should be embraced. I'm getting a little choked up now because transition helped me figure out my future. It helped me figure out what kind of man I wanted to be. Instead of always fighting the little battles, it helped me see the bigger picture. I wasn't so concerned about the little aspects of myself, like the way I don't like the way I look, I don't like this about myself, I don't want to talk because I hate my voice, everybody thinks I'm weird, all this. Once I accepted who I was, it gave me that confidence that I had on the inside but never really showed on the outside. And I feel like I'm a completely different social person than I was. I'm not saying that I'm completely different. I still very much feel the same. It's just that I'm able to connect with everything around me so much better. And I'm able to engage more in my life and be an active participant in my own life than I ever was before. And my family has come so far in the entire experience, from not talking to them for so many months and having that weigh on me, worrying that everyone would hate me for the rest of my life and I'd never have a relationship with my family, to being here right now. And I've been in my parents' house that I grew up in for the last month, and trying to get my life back on track, saving up for a house, going back to school for my PhD. Well, I'm applying. Hope I get in. And they're helping me. They're helping me get back on track, making sure that everything is going well. I'm doing Zumba and kickboxing in addition to weightlifting and personal training, and my mom and dad watch RuPaul's Drag Race with me. We talk about who we think is gonna win, who's the best, and they're like, "Do you want to have a party next week to watch the final three?" And they talk about costumes with me, and my mom had me rhinestone up one of her sweatshirts, and it's just really fun. And they've come so far in accepting both parts of me, and my mom really getting interested in my life, and it's been a complete 180 from the way they felt before. And now it's even starting to the point where I can talk about them, talk to them about the issues that matter to me, like politically, without getting into a weird, like, Tea Party-esque, like, awful argument. I'm also in charge of Trans Pride Pittsburgh again. I co-founded it last year with another trans man, and it's now 4 days worth of events. And again, I'm so happy and so proud to be the person that these last 2 years have made me. And I hope others out there find a similar feeling of contentment. Thanks everybody, and see you again.